This is Roy Fleming. I am submitting my week 3, MileStone 3. I'm a self-critique during my reflection. I look back on this week and I feel that I sort of fell short on the final read topology of my asset. This model kept deforming when I was doing a projectile and dividing. It was deforming to the point that it would spike out. As far as the points were all jagged, I thought maybe it was because it wasn't all one poly group. So I went back and made it one poly group. For this one, I ended up going through Z remesher and Z remeshing to get my low res down to a good point where it was all one group and it looks smoothed out. A little disappointed that I wasn't able to do it through regular read topology. I'm still trying to find a workaround on that, so that's one of my main concerns right now. Besides the point that my poly count right now is about up to 3.8 million, which is way over. I was idling around 255 prior to my read topology. I was just around 255,000. As far as my inquiries, the question I would ask is how can I address this issue of the high res deforming to get a good projection of my low res? Right now, to have this completed, I did go through and do the Z remesh, but what I want to make sure is that I'm able to get all the details that I had in for the original asset. So with this asset that I had, is much more dense, but I wanted to get in these details around the mouth area and around the eye sockets. So making sure that I had good curvature to make sure it supported the flow of the body. Making sure around the limbs that I had a good fold and a good amount of um, polygons that I can support that in case it was animated. From here, the suggestions, I had a lot of good critiques last week, very insightful on how to improve the model. My thoughts are to keep the flow of the model supported by the retopology. That was the biggest thing that I wanted to go for besides the poly count that I keep talking about. The last time I was in this class, I had such an issue with that. It's one of the things that I wanted to really focus on. But from the critique that I got from Tim last week is really to focus on getting in a good retopology of the asset. That way, going into my next project class, I'll be able to focus in on texturing. So that gives me a way forward on how to improve this and make it a better product by the time I get to the point where I'm finalizing and rendering it. As far as your elevating, to elevate myself from this one, all is not lost, though I feel that my retopology is not up to par since I did it through Z remesher. Hopefully that's the equivalent. I know that we wanted to go through and get a low res, so I achieved that. And from projecting it all and dividing it, it brought me up to that 3.8 million. I feel that the model itself looks exactly the way that I wanted it to. I really like the anatomy portion that I was able to narrow down, still giving it a humanoid look at the same time, making sure that I had the anatomy of a frog. From here, what I want to do is revisit my poly count to see if I could get it back down so it's not that high. The biggest issue that I had before is trying to get that down to even turn in the assignment file. So I don't want it to be that dense. So I'm going to continue to work on that. And one thing that I keep missing out on is the floor aspect. This is something that was pointed out to me. I work without the floor being on, and I know that's a bad habit, but a lot of times it sort of feels that it gets in my way, especially when I'm working down on the feet. So a lot of times, out of sight, out of mind, I forget to turn back on that element, and it's something I'm gonna have to go back and readjust. But keeping the balance shifted, I think it has a good flow, and it still has that long, elongated feel of a frog, and still keeping a good balance and holding its weight. So I think it looks good on that. I just have to make sure that I ground it from this point. But I look forward to continuing working on this. I want to say thank you for all the great help that I've been receiving, and I'll go from there. Thank you.